right, we're back, and now we're going to go one concentric circle out. Let's talk about, maybe two concentric circles out.
Yes.
Let's talk about some state and national races. And I got to tell you, it was interesting to me, the number of candidates that have filed in Congressional District 6, number one.
Yeah.
There's a lot, but we'll get back to that. Let's talk about state and national races. Let's start at the top of the state race, the governor's race. Again, I think we can. I want to talk about the issues, but I think we can get into some candidates here too, because I personally think that our current governor is going to be hard to beat in some respects. Ron, what are the issues first? What are the issues at the state level?
I think the issues are coming back to what they've been over the past. What happens in Montgomery County? What happens to the light rail? What happens to different rail? What happens to the $4 billion that the governor's allocated to bring Amazon to Montgomery County? You're talking about 40,000 jobs. You're talking about $100,000 a year jobs and an amount of money in excess of $4 billion for the rail to tie into the rest of the state. That means a lot. What's the Democrats going to do? They're going to have to put up a lot more than what I've seen so far to win that race, because 21 counties suddenly are hearing that there's a governor in the state of Maryland. It's not only the big three counties that are getting the attention.
Tom?
I agree that Hogan's going to be tough to beat. Number one, as an incumbent, he stayed under the radar.
He made smart decisions on what he weighed in on and what he didn't.
Well, yeah, politically.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I understand some of that. However, it's really hard for me to judge here because of the national. I agree about all politics being local, but this is an unusual time.
Because of the down ticket effect.
Yeah, because of what we've seen across the country. I mean, yesterday or the day before, some woman won a state Senate race. Trump won by nearly 50%.
Over 50, yeah.
And she won by 18. It was a 68-point shift. And this was, what was it? Kentucky, Tennessee?
Yeah, I
something
saw
like
that. And it was a long-term Republican seat that's now Democrat.
And I just think there's a lot up in the air here. In the
Well,
age
there
of
is.
But you
Trump.
said what was the key thing you said? A what one? What was the person's gender?
A woman.
A woman.
A woman.
Which is, there's a big factor here.
Yes.
And in my opinion, the basic issue in terms of who wins and loses this is going to be turnout, turnout, turnout.
Right.
And there's a number of things going to affect this now that are beyond our local politics here and even beyond the state politics we see what just happened with the Florida shooting and the young people coming out. Well, some of those people are going to be voting age by November. They're marching in Washington today, going to march next month, the month after that. So I think it's really hard to figure here, because Hogan could be very much dragged down by that if the Democrats have a decent candidate. They have some attractive people there.
Yeah. Do you think, go back to what you just said about those kids in Washington. I don't feel those kids are ever going away.
No,
I don't see this issue ever drying up and going away like they have with all the previous shootings.
Well, you know what? It shouldn't go away.
Yeah.
Until we find a way to combat this, it shouldn't go away.
Yeah, well, I keep thinking, my niece, who is not that generation, she's 32, in Colorado, a midwife. She never did anything, but she marched in the Women's March last year. That's just one example of a 32-year-old who tends to be Green Party, but is involved, like literally personally involved. And I've seen this. We just don't know where this is going. It's happening all over. And I think this is where Hogan may be a bit tone deaf in regards to this. He's not unaware, I'm sure, but sometimes there's certain tidal waves that are very hard to go against. Yeah. So I just don't know.
All right, let's talk about some of the other state races. State senator. So far, George Edwards and Andy Serafini are running unopposed. Is that correct?
Yes. far as I know, I checked the sites and there's nobody.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen anybody.
You know, which is unfortunate.
It is.
Nobody should not be.
So House of Delegates, we've got Nicole Altmyers, related to Leroy.
Yes.
We've got
Running against McKay, Mike McKay.
right, running against Mike McKay, and Jordan Lischek, and also I guess those are the 1C. There's Lischek, if I'm pronouncing that right. Nicole Altmyers, Jordan Lischek, and Mike McKay. 2A, we've got Neil Parrott and Bill Weibel. And 2B, we've got Paul Quarterman and Peter Perini. What say you about any of those races?
Well, most of them are unopposed, except the Hagerstown one. Really, Mike
Right.
McKay is going to be hard to beat. I don't
think he is
see
too.
How he loses, in the primary with that race. And so far, he doesn't have a Democratic challenger, as does not the rest of these people. Parrott, and he's got his minions, and he'll certainly get, in terms of the primary.
Right.
But who knows between now and Tuesday? But there's nothing I know of on the horizon there. And then with Peter Perini and Paul Quarterman, well, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, Peter Perini lost other races,
Yes, he has.
and so I don't think it's easy for either one of them. It might be more Democrats registered in Hagerstown, but that may not prove the biggest thing here in this particular race.
Well, you may be right. I think Peter at some level can be polarizing to some. I don't know. That will be an interesting to watch. That will be an interesting one to watch.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, national. Let's talk about that. U.S. Senator. We got all kinds of people running for senator.
Whom I never heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
You think Ben Cardin's going to lose?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't
Ron?
think so. If
Do you
he
think
wants
Ben
to-
Hey,
Cardin's
Ben and I have been friends for a long time. No, I don't think
There's
he's
no
gonna
way.
lose.
He's nobody's fool.
yeah.
And he's been around. I mean, it's a Democratic state, and given the climate, there's no way Cardin loses to some of these no-name Republicans.
You ever wanted to get him on the program after he's out of office or something? I mean, not out of office,
he's a
but
good-
when he's not running for
Yeah.
office, he'd march in this door talk. He'd come through the bugs and everything to get in here.
Yeah, he would.
He's a good.
Yeah,
He's a good people person.
Yeah,
he really
he's very
is.
good.
All right, we've got just a little bit of time left. Let's talk about and we probably should have hit this one early too, because there's a lot to talk about here potentially. Congressional District 6. Ami Hober is back on the Republican side. I found her, frankly, as a Republican, I found her very underwhelming, personally, the last time. I hope she's,
Still the same.
I hope she's
She's a nice person, but
Yeah.
she's still, in terms of.
Oh, I've run into her. Goodness gracious!
I have, too.
cookie feast and
Schmackerel stew.
every place
Isn't that
I
his
go,
name?
I see Ami. She's and her husband.
Yeah.
They're two really nice.
They've got a lot of
folks.
money.
They got
for-
a lot of
they've
money.
got a lot.
but,
They've got a lot of money in their coffers.
But I don't know the money's going to buy an election this
Not
time.
this time. And then the Democrats have quite a bench. There's some good candidates there that they got a number of people there that, I mean,
So they've got
You know.
Nadia Hashimi, Christopher Hearsay, Roger Mano.
Yes.
Is he the front runner?
There's going to be a toss-up, I think,
Well,
between Mano and Throne.
It may be
Trone,
Trone,
David
who's
Trone.
very well financed.
David Trone
and
is,
organized.
yes.
Here in Washington
Aruna
County,
Miller,
made a lot of-
Aruna Miller, and then of course we can't forget now, not Democrat, but
Andrew Duck.
and George Gluck.
Yeah.
And also Ted Athey, who's apparently from Washington County.
I've met him.
Matt Mossberg and
Kevin Caldwell, who
Paul
is
Schwartz.
a libertarian. We have to mention that for Ken Buckler.
yes, that's right.
Yeah, I can.
Ken.
Okay.
Had lunch with Ken the other
Yeah,
day
yeah, yeah.
downtown. He
Okay.
was.
All right. Okay, so that is our segment on state and national races. Coming up next, the WTF segment, What the Flip Side? We're back in 3 minutes with the naughtiest news stories of the week.